are 5 reasons why most people are hurting. Stress, sitting too much, posture, weak muscles, and old injuries. I am going to cover each one of them and give you solutions to all of them. Now, before we do that, let me give you some context. My name is Dr. Story. I've been a doctor of chiropractic for over 28 years. I have tried my best to help people with natural health care. And these are the 6 big reasons why people hurt so much and have such amazing health problems. And it's frustrating because once you know the cause of a problem, it's easier to fix it. But if you are just floundering and you don't really know what's going on, it's very difficult to fix a person's problem. And so I'm going to give you these 6 causes of pain and then give you ideas of solutions on how to deal with them in my experience. First one, let's talk about the big one, stress. Stress kills, and the reason why is because of cortisol. As our body has too much stress, we start to... The heck was that? I think it was a cat thing. All right, that freaked me out. Let's dive into cortisol. Cortisol is secreted from our adrenal gland, and when it's excessive, it has tremendously bad things. What is going on in this house? There's a lot of bips and sounds that go on. This is really freaking me out. Let me go outside. Okay, I'm much happier here. This is producing a lot less cortisol in my body. One of the problems is that you cannot find stress on an x-ray, an MRI, a CAT scan, blood work, or a urine test. And this is a problem because a lot of people want to know what's causing their pain, right? So patients will often tell me, I want an MRI because I want to know what's causing my pain. And they're very frustrated when either the MRI comes back totally negative, or worse, it comes back as standard stuff that we all know that you have at a certain age. Listen, if you're watching my video and you're over the age of 65 and we send you for an MRI, I could tell you this: we're going to find arthritis, we're going to find degenerative disc disease, we're going to find disc bulges, we're going to find a reversal of the cervical curve. If it's the neck, we're going to find a ton of stuff. We know this because of your age. And so a lot of people get very frustrated when they have problems and it just can't be found on advanced imaging because stress is something that medicine just seems to ignore. There's really no sexiness in dealing with stress. The only thing they can do is give you drugs that will make you so loopy that it really isn't a great solution. So what do we do? What have I found that works well with stress? 2 things. Number 1, you can call it meditation, you can call it deep breathing, you can call it pranayama. Wherever you're from, there's probably a word for it, but throughout the entire universe, everyone of every culture and every aspect of the world has found a way to deal with stress through temporarily putting the stress to the side and either meditating, deep breathing, whatever. Deep breathing exercises give you 5 minutes of relaxation, and it's worth doing at least once a day. Very often I tell patients that, look, whatever problem you're having right now, it's going to be there 24 hours a day. You deserve 5 minutes off. Give yourself 5 minutes. And then after that 5 minutes, you can go back to your normal, total anxiety self and just deal with that, have anxiety about that problem. And sometimes people laugh about that when I say it that way, because you're allowed to have 5 minutes off. Give yourself 5 minutes to just do deep breathing. And of course, now the sun just came out and the sun's in my eyes. Let me change. I'm going to go over there. It's so simple that it feels like it shouldn't work. But you see, stress for a lot of people will make their shoulders come up, they tighten up, they get a lot of different hormones that start going haywire in their body. And giving yourself 5 minutes, at least once a day, to Do something else other than deal with your stress. There's another thing that you can do, and that is change your attitude on certain problems. Because the problems may not be able to change. The problems may not be able to be under your control. And Tony Robbins talks about how you reframe things and think about things in a different way. This is very difficult because people sometimes will hold on to their problems like a pet that's injured, and they don't want anybody to touch them. If someone came to you and said, I have a solution to your problem, the first thing that a lot of people do is they become defensive and say, well, you don't know anything about me. How could you say there's a solution to the problem? And they become almost defensive. And a lot of times the person that has the solution, if they don't have any skin in the game, they'll just walk away with the solution, and you become defensive. And changing your attitude on problems and learning to reframe these problems in such a way that makes it useful for you. There was a guy back when Oprah was famous, a guy named Dr. Phil, and he had this saying, how's that working out for you? And it really is a good thing to ask, is that if you are having a significant emotional problem, how is that helping you? How are you dealing with it, and how's it working out for you? If it isn't working out, maybe there's a better solution. So those are two things. I'll put down in the description a book that I have found useful from a guy named Dale Carnegie. It was written about 75 years ago, so it's an old book, but it's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And I found it useful. I read it years ago. You can get it on Amazon. It's super cheap. And it was very useful for me, and maybe you would find some use out of it. Number 2 is sitting too much. What do you do about it? I mean, what's the solution? Well, the answer is squatting. There are some places in the world where people do not have any back pain. It's weird to think that some people literally have no back pain. So if you can get into a squatting position like this and stay in this position for a minute, 2 minutes, very often you'll solve a lot of back pain. In fact, you'll decompress your spine. It's very easy. Now, I'm in a position right now like a baseball catcher, and if you can't get into this position, you could train yourself to get into this position. Very often you just need to squat down and get into a squat and try to maintain it. If you can't do this for too long, do the best you can, and you can come up and then come back down. Staying in this position for about 15 seconds, 4 or 5 times, can significantly help a lot of back pain. Daily activities such as doing dishes here at the sink can be problematic for people because they're leaning over and flexing too much. A lot of times what you can do, let me show you, is if you're working at the sink and washing dishes, you can open a cabinet down below and just keep it open and put one foot up like this. And what you'll notice is, for activities like doing dishes, changing your posture by alternating one foot versus the other while you're doing dishes can significantly improve pain. Sometimes doing something like getting dishes for dinner and things like that, people will get into bad postures. And being mindful of how your posture is when you are doing activities can make a significant difference in pain. I wasn't actually gonna do dinner. I was just using it for effect. The next thing that causes people a lot of pain is having weak muscles. Now, this is usually not a problem in our youth, but as we get older, we start to have sarcopenia, which is a wasting away of the muscles by natural aging. The only solution to this problem is to strength train. The great news is you don't have to be a super power lifter. You don't have to be in the gym for 2 hours a day. But once or twice a week at minimum, you do need to do some type of strength training. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that I can make this a little bit fun so that it is not as boring. Because to me, strength training is just not my thing. Some people like it, some people don't. So my goal when I do strength training is to get the most bang for the buck and invest as the least amount of time possible to get the maximum benefits. Sure, going into a gym 2 hours a day and lifting heavy weights might be good for you, but I just don't want to do that. So the minimum amount is once a week, maybe for a half an hour, doing things like push-ups and pull-ups and squats and calf raises. If you can do that at least once a week, at least you're doing yourself some favors. Doing it twice a week, sometimes I'll do, only because maybe the weather sucks or something like that and I can't go riding. But for the most part, I try to do it at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And that's enough to keep your muscles strong so that you can offset a lot of these pain syndromes. The last thing is old injuries. And man, do I have a lot of scars on my body from surgical procedures that had to have happened. Scar tissue from surgeries and scar tissue from injuries can pose a significant problem when people have pain all over their body. Let me demonstrate something that I show patients so that they can understand why a surgical site or a pain in one area, an injury to one area can affect the rest of the body. This is interesting. Let me show you this. Let's say that I have a injury to this area of my body. Now our body is surrounded by fascia, which is this tissue that connects our skin to the undersurface muscles and from the muscles to all the organs. It keeps everything in place. It's like cotton candy throughout our entire body and our organs. Now, as you get injured, your body will naturally heal this with adhesions or scar tissue. So imagine if I had an injury here to my body and I just twisted it and pulled it like this and just did this. Now, where am I going to feel the choking? I'm going to feel the choking right here. That's where the pain is when the patient presents to my office. But this is why the only way to fix this is to release pressure right here where my hand is, that old injury. So this is where I'm going with this. It's not uncommon for someone with a knee problem that I will be adjusting their ankle. They may have sprained their ankle many years ago, possibly 10, 15 years ago. And now that they're starting to work out and push their body, that old ankle injury is now being strained and stressed, and now they're getting pain somewhere else. Their body compensates, or just by the natural nature of the fascia. It's not uncommon also for someone with lower back pain for me to be treating their foot, their knee, their hip in order to try to help the back pain, to again, take strain off the fascia. Unfortunately, this is nothing that you can see on an MRI, a CAT scan, blood work, urine test, and thus, that's why this is something that's not really looked at in medicine. But very often, when you treat these causes of a person's problem, you very often get much better results. I hope you found this video very interesting, and the reason why is I am trying to help you so that you can have less pain. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comment section down below. In addition to that, we also do Zoom and phone consultations, as well as see patients in my office. I know what works and what doesn't work. None of this is theory. It's all been done in real time in my practice. But if you're not in my area, you can talk to me over the phone or through Zoom. There is a fee for it, so don't call our office expecting this to be done for free. But if you need help, I'm here for you. Lastly, I do have a Patreon, so the link is down below in the description. So if you do want to help a guy out, join Patreon. There's some benefits to that too, and it's in the Patreon page. And lastly, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and hopefully this will help your pain.